Welcome to the channel in this magical review. Today I want to talk about the second most powerful sorcerer in the Southern Suns Legion, Ahzek Ahriman. This is an old character with a long history and even influence on the Warhammer plot. So I will try not to focus on the character story, but on the figure itself, because Joytoy in his case really surprised. The packaging is not quite standard, it is large for a Heresy Space Marine, and because of the cape the blister has a horizontal orientation. Otherwise everything is usual and the equipment is quite modest. Ahriman has a typical problem of an imported Warhammer character. You can't see the armor because of the tons of clothes and decorations hanging on it. So the legs are covered with a large belt bandage with scarabs, two large ribbons with hieroglyphs and blue gold stars at the ends, and a plate tablet with the same hieroglyphs but in black and with a gold frame for each. From behind the legs are covered with the cape. If you lift all this and remove the bandage, which by the way was not glued and has a rather small contact surface for such an articulated area, you can see the gold edging from knees and two gold plates with hieroglyphs on the legs. On the left leg there is even a purity seal, which in my opinion is an expected choice for such a character. The legs look modest from behind. A magazine with a seal and a scarab hangs on the belt at the right hip. Unfortunately, it's unusable. On the belt behind the left hip under the cloak is a very beautiful accessory. These are 3 scrolls, a nice addition to the sorcerer's figure. In the torso area we can see the attachment points of all the ribbons. In the center of the chest there is a large disc with an image of a scarab, under which by the way you can see the crosshairs of cables, characteristic for Maximus armor. The inner side of cape has a pattern, and the cape itself is made in motion and always flutters to the right, which may be inconvenient for some poses, but not critical, especially considering that this is a wizard's cape. The armor of the right forearm is ribbed and has the gold decorations. The elbow armor plates are very massive. The right shoulder pad has a gold edging, which at the top turns into a decorative spike. The white eye is one of the emblems of the Legion. On the left forearm there is a white scarab, and what is interesting is that it's smooth unlike the right one. The shoulder is the same, but with an image of a star, which is also an emblem of the Legion. Somewhere I heard that one of Ahriman's pauldrons should be decorated with an image of the No Cliff, in honor of the deceased brother, but I don't see anything like that here. The backpack also has a star drawn on it. There are also some backpack decorations and cape fastenings on the back. The helmet is very unusual. This is a unique style of the Legion. The front side is smooth and completely white, no wax grids. The eyes glow blue and the left one is extended downwards, because Southern Suns have hyperfixation on the eyes. Hence another image of the eye already on the top of the helmet, where is also a decoration in the form of a tower. The back of the helmet is completely red, with a pair of inserts in the ear area. This design is similar to me to the helmet of the Galactic Marine from Star Wars. On the back side there are 2 spikes or horns in Egyptian style. Some people, including me, at first thought that they were part of the helmet, but it is the back of the armor. The weapon of the most powerful son of Magnus is the sorcerer's staff, which was divided into 2 parts in the package, a part with a blade and a part with a shaft, decorated with a chain with the Legion symbols, connected by a peg. A koppesh itself is decorated in Egyptian style and can be used as a simple sword. It is interesting to see what can be done with such a weapon in the pose. There are no other weapons, but the kit includes some nice hands, which is important for the sorcerer. And I am not talking about the clenched fist, but about his partially open palm with 2 fingers, and completely open palm, which is ideal for casting spells. And also for face palm. According to Story of Ahriman, he clearly did it more than once. The figure's articulation is a very delicate point. Let's start with the arms. They are completely standard. The shoulder pads connected with the rubber loops. The shoulders twist, the elbows and hands are perfect, but moving the arms to the sides can lead to the peg jumping out of the shoulder joint. The head is fine, the range of motion is normal. The hinge is very soft, but he cannot look down because the lower part of the mask rests exactly against the collar. The edges of the backpack are movable. The backpack can even be removed, but the cape is non-removable and fastened as minimally as possible. 2 scarab fasteners are glued to the bottom of the backpack. 2 more are glued to the back of the figure. And as a result, the cape, the backpack and the figure itself are a monolithic structure. The chest and waist have the usual ball joints, but because the figure is overloaded with clothes, in the front and back they are not really used. By the way, Ahriman has metal ball joints like Terminators, for which there are reasons. The legs are probably the most unpleasant area, since their joints are absolutely normal, but they are restricted by the cape at the back, and the bandage with the ribbons in the front. So his knees cannot be bent normally. If you swing his legs, the bandage will definitely come off at some point, so I haven't even glued it yet. And this whole complicated situation with articulation, as you might guess, greatly affects the posing. Some dynamics in the legs is not about Ahriman at all. I decided to show how he looked with the upper part of the staff as a koppesh, and I'd like to give as little history about the hero as possible, because his story as voluminous as that of the Primarchs. Ahzek Ahriman is the chief librarian of the Thousand Suns Legion, and as it turns out, the second most powerful sorcerer in the Legion after Magnus. He is mainly known for the fact that in an attempt to heal the genetic defect of the Legion with a flesh change, from which his brother died, he turned almost all the Legionnaires into golems. As a result, he was expelled by his Primarch. Sometimes it seems that Ahriman is not so much concerned with serving Zinch and the war with the Imperium, but with a more familiar hobby of the wizard, collecting more knowledge and trying to fix his mistakes. So personally, I would not even call Ahriman an evil character, although I must admit that I'm not well acquainted with him and don't know what he currently does in 42k. I only know that he looks like this now, and perhaps Titus was lucky that he wasn't the final boss in the game. An important point regarding the figure is its color, because Joytoy had their first attempt with Thousand Suns to make a glass, and the simple Space Marines of the Legion look a bit shabby in it. In case of Ahriman, everything is somehow more decent. It is red metallic. It looks fine. And it seems that even the owners of the units of this Legion noted that Ahriman is painted differently than simple Legionaries. I think you have already noticed that the combat poses with the staff and all the dynamics with the weapon do not allow him to look like a warrior who chops enemies with his blade. As I say, with the legs, and the cape at the back prevents the staff from being pulled back. Nothing surprising here, the miniature is oriented for a left-hander. But the trouble is that the cool hand with such a palm in the set is provided only for the left hand. And also, in my opinion, since the miniature didn't get a bolter, there are no scrolls to hold and read, and no other accessory either, I think that the figure was deprived of accessories. And the set could have included at least one magical effect. Some kind of energy flow, glow, flash, burning sphere, anything. Fortunately, I have one such effect, and with it, in my opinion, the figure really comes to life. And finally, you can believe that he doesn't need a melee weapon in principle. Although, if you try hard, maybe make a bias for a two-handed grip and find an adequate stance, then you can make a pretty tough melee fight. The comparison is probably the most interesting part of this video. The thing is that Ahriman is not just big, he is gigantic, just a monstrously huge Space Marine. As far as I understand, he wears custom Mark IV armor, and he is the largest Space Marine in Heresy model range, not wearing a Terminator armor. He is not even taller, but also wider in shoulders than the basic second generation Primaris. Just look at the size of their shoulder pads. It is clearly not only about the enlarged hips. He is noticeably taller than the old Terminators, and what is more impressive is almost the same in width. The old Custodes simply do not stand a chance. Only the new Terminators can surpass him, and even then not by much. Accordingly, the only commander from the Heresy who is larger than Ahriman is only Abaddon, and I doubt that there will be anybody bigger. Here is a comparison with other sorcerer in 12th scale. Guilliman, Contemptuous Iron of the Thousand Suns. There already must be pictures on the internet, but I'm almost sure that he is taller and more massive than Titus. I definitely want to compare Ahriman with him, and maybe with chosen Black Legionaries. So I'll try to get them, and it is quite possible that Ahriman is simply the biggest Space Marine who doesn't wear Terminator armor that Joytoy currently has. And this is his unique feature. I do not understand why such a situation happened with him. I can only say that this is his parental genetics. If you have any thoughts on this matter, I would be glad to read your comments. This is where review comes to an end. In conclusion, I can say that the figure is really interesting, as is the character, but he is not for everyone. His articulation is significantly inferior to his appearance, and mainly this figure will just stand straight at attention. But of course, if you are interested in this Legion, this figure is a must-have. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.